making sense of politics and the cultural divide from a different perspective. This is America on the Edge with C.L. Bryant on News Radio 710 Keel.
Hello, this is C.L. Bryant. A great day in the USA. This is C.L. Bryant, America on the Edge. Stay a while with us. I'm here with my co-host, Stephen Parr. Stephen, tell the folks what we have lined up for them today.
Well, we have a lot going on. Some things went on this weekend, a protest up in Chicago. You had been up to Chicago just last month working on some community work up there and trying to convince folks that things can change. And I think, CL, some of what that message you were trying to get across, I think that's getting across a lot of folks. We're going to be talking about that coming up. We also have Senator David Vitter on the show live. We're going to be talking to him about the immigration issue and what he can be doing for that. And Eric Holder was on the news this weekend saying that opposition to him and opposition to the president is based on race.
Well, I tell you something, Stephen. They can holler long and loud about it being about race these days, but I think America is beginning to wake up to what is going on really and truly in this country. We have a fantastic lineup today, and we're going to be taking a couple of your phone calls as well. We're looking forward to coming to you every day for the next long time, and we want you to call in at 320-KEEL. 320-KEEL. And, Stephen, that question of the day will be?
Well, the question of the day is actually about Louisiana politics. Should Manus stay in the Louisiana Senate race? We've been talking about that last week with the poll that came out with Landrieu has 46%. There's 11% that's still up for grabs. Manus has a little bit of that, but certainly not enough to beat Landrieu at this point.
And Landrieu has been the queen of pulling out close races. And one of the reasons is because we had been mired down in the same kind of muck that it appears we're about to be mired down in now. Now, the question has to be, too, Stephen, do we want to win or do we want to this to remain the same as it has been for these many years? Something's got to change in order for us to move forward. Something has to be different. And I think we are going to have to take a different look at what has been going on. We have a guest coming up later on as well after Senator Vitter, who will give her take on that. And we'll see how we have perhaps been missing out on victories in this state.
We're also talking about Lance Bergdahl. Lance Bergdahl is back in the news. He's being released. He's going back to, get this, CL, active duty.
Impossible.
He's coming out. He's gone through the counseling back in San Antonio after he came back from being traded for 5 Taliban members.
How's it possible?
Well,
I just don't understand how that could possibly be possible.
I don't have an answer for you on that. All I know is he's being assigned to, according to Fox News, he's being assigned to the protocol office.
What information is he going to be exposed to? I mean, how is it possible? I mean, I just don't understand that.
He's supposed to be helping other soldiers with their procedures and etiquette. And I'm trying to figure out what kind of etiquette Lance Bergdahl could teach me.
You mean a person who walks off of his post
without saying goodbye? What kind of etiquette is he going to teach?
Suspected of desertion?
Treason? Who knows? Yeah, what kind of etiquette is he going to teach us? You know, the appropriate way to flag down the Taliban when you've left your comrades at arms.
Crawling through the weeds.
What's the appropriate way to do that? Anyway, yeah, that's been going on. Also, folks, if you haven't heard this, you need to hear it. Nancy Pelosi last week was talking about the Hobby Lobby decision, and she was saying that 5 white men are trying to decide whether you get to use a diaphragm or some other type of contraception. And Megyn Kelly on Fox, if you haven't heard this, it's epic. Roll the clip.
Nancy Pelosi either doesn't know what she is talking about or is intentionally misleading you. First of all, the gender of the justices in the Hobby Lobby majority is totally irrelevant. Ms. Pelosi's reference to it is obviously an attempt to stoke resentment. When Roe versus Wade was decided, it was all men in the majority. Does Ms. Pelosi think those justices were ill-equipped to fairly decide that case?
Is Nancy drugged, Stephen?
She
Nancy acts like she's drugged.
She is not from Colorado, so currently the medicinal marijuana is legal in California, but not the free-flowing it is in Colorado.
But folks, I want you to know one thing: Nancy Pelosi actually helped write the religious this legislation that protects your religious freedom as far as that's concerned.
That was passed under Clinton.
It was passed under Bill Clinton. She helped write that. And now she's speaking out against it. And guess what? As Megan said, there were white men who actually ruled when it came to Roe versus Wade.
Yeah. You got to hear the takedown. I tweeted out on our Twitter handle, @TheAmericanEdge. Tweeted that out earlier. You can see the whole clip there. Also going on, Israel saying that the 130 rockets so far were fired into Israel yesterday. That was one every 10 minutes since the start of hostility. But you found this clip online, and there's a new weapon. There's a new weapon for Israel. It's called skunk.
You're going to love it.
And let me just read you what Wikipedia says about skunk. It's a malodorant. As opposed to a deodorant, which makes you smell good, a malodorant, mal means bad. So this is a bad-smelling, non-lethal weapon used for crowd control.
Muy malo.
Listen to what a report the BBC did on this back in 2008.
For the man who filmed these pictures, there's only one way to describe being skunked.
I was here and everybody said, oh, shit. Everybody was crying, shit. It smells shit. This is what the people said in the same day, yes. Yeah. They throw a shit on us. They spray us on
shit. It would make me run, folks. I'm telling you. I think I'd rather face a hail of bullets than to walk away being skunked. How about you, Stephen?
Yeah, it's I'm sure people will protest it because that's cruel and unusual punishment. But man, that is.
Sounds like the Israelis are sick and tired of what's going on here. By any means necessary, they're getting these guys from Hamas off of them.
It also sounds to me like Israel has tried to find as many different ways to do this with as little loss of civilian life.
They don't want
to
hurt anybody. I mean, they really don't. But you know what? It's as Netanyahu said, we must now think about our future. And we want our children to sleep at night. And folks, let me tell you something. Stephen, that skunk stuff surely repel the enemy pretty quick.
It definitely smells. Our Twitter question of the day, should Manus get out? You can call us, 320-KEEL, or send us a tweet @TheAmericanEdge. We'll be right back. More America on the Edge.
Giving you the edge. This is America on the Edge with CL Bryant and Stephen Parr on News Radio 710 KEEL.
Citizens Bank and Trust. One stop for all your financial needs. Member FDIC.
You don't have to go far to get away from it all. Just 30 minutes south of Shreveport in the historic village of Grand Cane stands the Cook Hill House Bed and Breakfast. This stately treasure was built in the mid-1800s before the Civil War. Today, antiques and homemade quilts fill king and queen size suites. Rooms come fully furnished with private baths and free cable and Wi-Fi. Plus, you get a homemade country breakfast from Grand Cane Gourmet Jane Bryant included in your reservation. The Cook Hill House is the perfect place for weddings, receptions, parties, and showers, or when simply planning your next staycation. Call the Cook Hill House Bed and Breakfast at 318-858-0800. 318-858-0800. That's 318-858-0800. Cook Hill House Bed and Breakfast. Victorian elegance with country charm.
Hello, everybody. This is Henry Burr. God, faith, and freedom are not free. Many have paid the price. Let freedom ring. What a great radio program. Go get 'em, CL.
SB Magazine, North Louisiana's premier publication, is your source for local entertainment, home decor ideas, gardening information, fashion trends, and seasonal gift guides. Every month we take you behind the scenes at some of Shreveport-Bossier's most fun events in Eye on SB. And you'll find SB Magazine everywhere. But the best way to make sure you have the most current issue is to subscribe. It's just $16 for 12 months. Call Debbie today or go to our website, sbmag.net. SB Magazine, the pulse of Shreveport-Bossier.
Conserving water is mostly a matter of using good common sense. Your porcelain throne is notorious for its hidden leaks, stealing water 24/7. A leaky toilet can waste hundreds of gallons of water a day and go completely undetected. So check your toilet for wear and proper adjustment periodically. The declining Sparta Aquifer is our main water source in North Louisiana. Do your part for water conservation. Be Sparta smart. Make every drop count. This public service announcement is brought to you by this radio station, a member of the Sparta Media Network.
710 Keel, with the ultimate baseball trip. Imagine you and a friend going to any stadium in any city to see the pro baseball game of your choice. Prize includes 2 tickets, airfare, and $300 in cash. It's the ultimate baseball trip from Shreveport Airport and American Airlines, now offering first-class service to Dallas-Fort Worth with connections to more than 150 cities worldwide. Register to win at 710keel.com.
News Radio 710 Keel. News Radio 710 Keel. News Radio 710 Keel. News Radio 710. You're listening to America on the Edge with CL Bryant and Stephen Parr on News Radio 710 Keel.
Welcome back to America on the Edge with CL Bryant. I am Stephen Parr. CL, you were up in Chicago last month trying to convince folks that what is going on in Chicago is not working. It should be easy to convince folks of that, but so far it hasn't been.
Right. It has not been easy to convince black people in particular that this same old, just because it changed colors, I'm talking about the Democrat Progressive Party, is going to be good for them. But it appears that what we have been preaching and the type of message we've been bringing to the inner city is beginning to take shape and to take hold.
I think you're right, and there's some evidence of that online today from a group called Rebel Pundit. It's basically they're trying to follow in the footsteps of Breitbart and becoming citizen journalists. And up in Chicago this weekend, Rebel Pundit got some video of a protest out in front of the city's police department. Listen to these residents talk about President Obama, who's from Chicago.
He's going to go down as being one of the worst presidents ever. Today, if you look at the time that we brought here as slaves 400 years ago, we got the same results today.
We live in Beirut somewhere. Ambulance, fire department, police running up and down the street, all around our community.
You know what, Stephen? This isn't because he's black.
No.
No one can say that these folks are saying this because he's black. They're saying this because they are concerned about what's going on in their communities. Now, guess what? They were concerned then.
Yeah.
Before the election, before both of the elections, they were concerned then. But you know what's wearing off is the emotional attachment that black folks have had and embraced for so long to skin color. They are beginning to understand, all folks are beginning to understand, white folks who voted for Barack Obama are beginning to understand that the stupidest thing that America has ever done was vote for someone because they happen to be black and unqualified.
It goes back to what Reverend Martin Luther King said. He didn't say people shouldn't be judged. He said he didn't want you to be judged by the color of your skin, but by the content of your character.
Right.
And there were people who voted for Barack Obama because of the color of his skin. Now, to be fair, there were some people who voted against Barack Obama because of the color of his skin.
Oh, no doubt about it. There is no question about that. And you and I and other conservatives like us, we've never denied the fact that that's the case. But there have been so many who wanted to make that the central issue as far as opposing his policies. His policies have not worked. And now, guess what? You have people in his hometown. Chicago was just up there. And let me tell you something. They're stoked.
And you heard the guy say, the gentleman on the clip said it's like being in Beirut. He's right. There are parts of the city of Chicago where the murder rate is 54 people per 100,000 or 68 people per 100,000, depending upon which neighborhood you're actually in. When you look at the top 10 lists of the deadliest cities, the cities with the highest murder rate in the world, that murder rate puts them at 6 and 7 on the list, ahead of places like San Salvador, ahead of Belize City, ahead of Kingston, Jamaica.
Wow. Are you saying that it's safer on the streets of Afghanistan than it is on the streets of Chicago?
Kandahar didn't make the list of the top 10 cities with the highest murder rate.
Amazing.
But the south side of Chicago, if it were its own city, would.
Last weekend, it was devastating, the type of murders that happened in Chicago. Let me tell you something. Detroit, as far as this man talking about it looking like Beirut, I was in Detroit just about 4 months ago. It truly does look like a bomb went off in many of the neighborhoods.
Because it was abandoned, and then we've just had decay since then. And of course, you got the violence that's going on in the city as well.
But these people, Stephen, they have no true axe to grind. They have no political axe to grind. They were not trying to make a political point. They were trying to make a point about their very real conditions. It is becoming so apparent to them that this man asking for $3.7 billion, guess what? He's never asked for $3.7 billion to help any black children. But what they're looking at is that here come these immigrant kids. And folks, it doesn't matter to me if you're saying that we're heartless or whatever. It is America first. Why? Because we're Americans.
And that's exactly what one of the ladies at this protest said. Listen to this clip of a lady whose daughter, by the way, had been murdered on the streets of Chicago. Listen to this mother.
Mr. President, we're asking for you. You're spending billions of dollars in Texas, but we got a problem here in Chicago. We will not stand by this here and keep letting this senseless killing and shooting happening in our community.
Where's the money to help us, is what this woman is saying.
That's right.
That's what she's saying, Stephen. And Mr. President, this black woman is calling out the president of the United States. And guess what? I would bet $10 to a Dunkin' Donut that she voted for him.
Probably did. And actually, some of the people in that clip said they had. Now, this does lead to immigration. And I want you to listen to what Judge Janine on Fox said about immigration this last week.
The average deportation time is 5 years. But that's only after we pay for advocates, translators, lawyers, judges, housing, food, healthcare, education, medication. And at the end, statistics tell us that 90% are released anyway.
Does anybody see what's going on here? There is a massive influx of people who are immediately put on the government dole. The question that people, and guess what, Stephen? A lot of the governors whose states these folks are going into, they have not been notified that these folks are even coming in.
That's right. It happened in Nebraska again.
Who's going to pay for this? America, I'm asking you, listeners in the Arklatex right now, who's going to pay for this? What happens when they start showing up here? You heard Ken Clark just Friday. If you were listening Friday, we're expecting 900 million. That's right under 1 million of these folks to come into this country. Don't you dare think that they can't show up in a neighborhood near you.
Yeah, Ken Clark did say 900,000 last week, just under 1 million, as you were saying.
Yeah, 900,000.
But and did you listen to the litany of things we're paying for? Okay, so for these illegal, and by the way, illegal, they are not here legally.
Right.
Yeah, you do have to go through, justice and presumption of innocence. But look, they're not here legally.
Let's just. There's no word game here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, you're either here legally or you're not here legally.
Yeah.
And you have these progressive liberals who are saying, oh, it hurts their feelings when you call them illegal aliens. Well, that's what they are. They're not here legally. It doesn't matter if they're children. It doesn't matter who they are. If you're in the country illegally, you are an illegal alien. Mexico, you and I, hey, Stephen, we got a Marine down there right now. Let me tell you something. You and I go down there to Mexico without any visas or anything to get into that country. Guess where we're going?
Going to jail.
We're going to jail.
Yeah.
Now, how is it that they're transporting these folks into our country and we're not? How can you be a country if you don't have borders?
The point that the folks in Chicago are trying to get at is that we have limited resources. As much as we like to think we can just print money, we really do have limited resources. So if we're spending money on these illegal aliens coming to the United States, on their health care, on their housing, on their advocates, on their interpreters, then we're not spending that money in neighborhoods that are hurting.
Now, these are the black folks in Chicago. I'm going to want to hear in weeks to come about the black folks in Bossier City. I want to hear about the black folks in Peoria. I want to hear about the black folks living in various counties around the country where these folks will be there threatening to take jobs.
Coming up next, we're talking to Senator David Vitter. You can send us a tweet on our question of the day. Should Manish drop out? That's at The American Edge. We'll be right back. More America on the Edge.
This is America on the Edge with CL Bryant and Stephen Parr on News Radio 710 Keel.
If you haven't yet, go to our website, AmericaOnTheEdge.com. It's different than most websites out there, and that's because it's not a website, it's our nation, created by Logic Nation. As we're launching this new kind of radio show, we decided to partner with a new kind of internet company. Logic Nation gives us a new way to interact with you through your existing social media platforms. We've got Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all in one place, which makes it easy. Too much of the time, social media becomes a place where we bicker and fight rather than listen and learn. Logic Nation gives us the ability to start a new conversation on air and online. So now when you go to our Nation page and start a conversation with CL or with me, we can stay focused on that discussion without getting distracted. It's going to change things, and I believe for the better. Logic Nation has an app to make it easier to browse content on your mobile devices. You can download that for free today. If you have a business that needs to reach your customers in a new interactive way, you should give Logic Nation a try.
If the number on your thermostat is going up just as quickly as the temperature outside, your air conditioner may have a serious problem. Give the friendly folks over at Premier Heating and Cooling a call at 222-1980.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
I kept on trying, learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
We did it, so can you.
For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
The home of Rush Limbaugh. Weekdays from 11 to 2 on News Radio 710 Keel.
These senators do not want to control immigration. They want to expand it. Wealth will be redistributed from the middle class to a new class of poor. But what we're actually doing is importing poverty in order to enhance big government.
Rush right here on your news and weather station. News Radio 710 Keel.
Conserving water is mostly a matter of using good common sense. If there's a drip in your home, it can waste a lot of water. A leaky faucet can add from 20 to 40 gallons a day to your water bill. That's literally money going down the drain. Get leaky faucets fixed. The declining Sparta Aquifer is our main water source in North Louisiana. Do your part for water conservation. Be Sparta smart. Make every drop count. This public service announcement is brought to you by this radio station, a member of the Sparta Media Network.
Let me cut through all of the noise.
Rush is on every weekday from 11 to 2.
It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind.
Right here on your news and weather station.
Where consumers of hard news go.
On News Radio 710 Keel. 710 Keel. 710 Keel. Giving you the edge. This is America on the Edge with CL Bryant and Stephen Parr on News Radio 710 Keel.
Welcome back to America on the Edge with CL Bryant. I am Stephen Parr, and we have a special guest here, Senator David Vitter from our home state of Louisiana. And, Senator, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Stephen and CL. Great to be with you.
I see you are the chairman and the founder of the Border Security Caucus. I was unaware of this caucus. Would you tell me why you founded it, what you hope to accomplish in that role?
Yeah, I founded the caucus to coalesce a lot of conservative voices in the Senate who want to say we need border security first and foremost in terms of immigration, and that's what we should be focusing on, securing our borders and enforcing the laws on the books. And I think that is an essential first step, including in this current crisis with unaccompanied alien children.
Senator Vitter, let me ask you this. Now, a lot of Americans are asking this question. You understand that we need to secure the border. Evidently, Rick Perry understands it. Why is it, in your opinion, that we're having such a problem with this president understanding that we need to secure our borders?
Well, CL, it's baffling, even in the midst of this unaccompanied children crisis, and it is a crisis, including a humanitarian crisis. He doesn't seem to get that securing the borders, sending folks who have come into the country illegally back to their home countries is the absolutely essential first step. Otherwise, this growing wave is going to continue to grow, and the problem, including the humanitarian problem, is going to continue to get worse. So if you care about those kids, if you care about their vulnerability in that long trek to the United States, and they're being taken advantage of by smugglers and abusers, then you want to stop that flow, not continuing to grow that flow.
Is there an impact? I know that some governors are saying that these people are showing up in their states unannounced. They don't know that they're coming. Is there a potential impact on us here in Louisiana?
Sure there is. It depends on if they are sent here for relocation. And that's exactly why I wrote the Homeland Security Secretary last week asking very specific questions, including what their plans are to send any to Louisiana. By the way, I'd written him back in January, well before this current crisis mushroomed, asking him to explain why they were essentially finding these kids and actually getting them to their illegal parents in the United States, fulfilling the mission of the smugglers, actually finishing out that process rather than enforcing the law.
Senator, some people criticize Republicans saying Republicans just say no, they don't have any solutions. I know you've sponsored bills that are designed to be solutions to the immigration issue in the past. What is your idea for what will fix our immigration problem?
Well, let's start with this current crisis, because this is on the front burner and it is a crisis. And I agree it's a humanitarian crisis because these kids are vulnerable to the smugglers and the traffickers and abusers who are all criminals. The way we solve that problem is to enforce our law and is to show the world, including Central and South America, that these folks are going to be brought back to their home country, and this is not a viable option to get kids or adults into this country illegally. That will stem the tide and solve the crisis, including the humanitarian crisis. And again, if you care about these kids and their vulnerability in terms of the trip here, then you should want to have those numbers decrease and stop, not have policy that actually encourages more of that activity and encourages more of those kids to be put in that vulnerable situation.
Yes, Senator, you raised a good point here, because some people will say that it's inhumane not to just keep these kids here. It's inhumane to send them back to their home country. But from what I get from what you're saying, it's also inhumane to encourage them to make the trip in the first place.
Well, look, what is so dangerous about the situation is the trip they have to make at the hands of criminals, and often very violent and dangerous and abusive criminals. Now, what's more inhumane? Policy that encourages that activity to continue and to actually grow, or policy that stops that activity and discourages that activity. I think clearly what's humane is to put a stop to that and stop that flow and stop these folks from being put in the hands of dangerous smugglers and criminals.
Senator Vitter, most of us, of course, would agree with that common sense of not allowing them to come here in the first place, thus stopping staunching that particular flow into the country. This is one of the tweets that we have gotten, or it has been repeated over the last week, and that is, how is it possible that this many people can be escorted to the Texas border without this being some type of design? My question is, do you see a design here by this administration to allow this to continue?
Well, they have to know that their policy is encouraging this activity to grow. I mean, that's just common sense. Now, I'm not saying that's some grand conspiracy, but it's common sense to know that a policy that allows most of these kids to stay in the country for an indefinite period of time is going to cause that activity to grow. You have to be just living on a different planet not to get that. I also think there is some willingness and cooperation, implicitly or explicitly, by Mexican officials to get these kids through their country rather than to secure their own southern border. So I'm very concerned about both the host countries, the home countries of these children, and Mexico willingly allowing this or even encouraging this flow to happen.
You are listening to America on the Edge with CL Bryant, 710 Keel. Senator Vitter is our guest today. And Senator, switching gears here a little bit, you are the ranking Republican on the Environment and Public Works Committee, which has some interesting people, we'll put it that way, on both sides on that committee. The EPA is trying to outlaw carbon dioxide. They're trying to make it illegal for you to breathe out too much. Some of these policies that the EPA is trying to pursue, to me, do not seem scientific. What can be done about that?
Well, I'm pushing back on that constantly, particularly when you have aggressive, left-leaning policy that's driven by far-left politics and not science. And unfortunately, we see that a lot out of this EPA. The other thing we see out of this EPA and this administration is doing everything by administrative fiat, including going well beyond this administration, this president's proper legal authority in many cases. So I'm pushing against that with my Republican colleagues on the committee constantly. The problem is we're the minority, not the majority. The majority is headed by Barbara Boxer, who's very far left from California, who's supporting this activity every step of the way. So fundamentally, the fix there is to get a new Senate majority, which is very possible in this fall's election.
Senator, continuing along that line, bringing it here to home, our state, Louisiana. We're very concerned about our future. We're very concerned about our young people remaining here. Let me ask you this. Now, the next leader of our state, we feel, will have to be someone who is going to stimulate not only the economy here in Louisiana, but be a defender of Louisiana. You've had a good track record in doing that, and we certainly do appreciate it. Give us your view of us in 5 to 10 years. How does David Vitter see our state in that span of time?
Well, CL, as you know, I've been thinking about that a lot. Wendy and I put a lot of thought into it and then decided I'm going to be running for governor here at home next year. So I've been thinking about those Louisiana issues a lot. I decided to run for governor because I'm very optimistic and excited about our opportunities. We have a lot of great things moving in the right direction in Louisiana, and we have a lot of great growing opportunity, including in the energy sector and in other industrial sectors spurred by affordable American energy. You know, this whole shale natural gas boom is driving and fueling, no pun intended, a lot of great job creation in Louisiana, and we can take great advantage of that if we get some basic things right. And so I want to focus on those key things that we need to get right to take full advantage of that opportunity. And I think that has to start with education, K through 12 education, and also stabilizing higher education in our state.
Senator, you were just talking about the importance of energy to this state, and your counterpart, your other senator from the state of Louisiana, Mary Landrieu, is saying that it's very, very important for the state of Louisiana to have her up in the Senate because she's on the Energy Committee, and she told Obama that his refusing to do the XL pipeline was wrong. Going back to a question you said earlier, is it more important to have someone telling the EPA they can't do what they are trying to do, or is it more important to have a sitting Louisiana senator on that Energy Committee?
Well, look, I think fundamentally we all need to elect folks who agree with us and who are going to advance the sort of policies and the sort of agenda we favor. And I'm voting for Bill Cassidy over Mary Landrieu because he reflects my views, my conservative views about how we should be moving. Mary Landrieu supports President Obama 97% of the time. It's great to have clout, but the question is, in what direction do you use it? And how effective are you in using it? And I don't see Mary overcoming these wrong-headed policies of President Obama and his administration. I see her mostly facilitating those policies and never being effective in blocking them or reversing them.
And we can't let you go without asking this, because the Department of Justice is, in fact, right in the front line of everything that's going on. Eric Holder, is it possible or even feasible to think that he could be impeached? We wanted to ask you that question.
Yeah, technically I'm not, I'd have to look this up, CL, and maybe you know better than me off the top of my head. I'm not sure cabinet officials can be impeached. Certainly the president and vice president and judges can be. I don't know offhand about cabinet officials. I certainly agree with the concern that this administration, including Eric Holder, including the president, are regularly going beyond their legal authority and acting in an unconstitutional way. I spend time every week pushing back on that and fighting that in any way I can. And so I'm open to any worthwhile suggestion. I think the key next step in that fight is to get a conservative majority or Republican majority in the U.S. Senate. Absolutely. And use that to fight back.
Absolutely. Senator, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Continue to fight the good fight. Folks, we've been on
Thank
Senator
you,
David
CL.
Vitter.
Stephen, great to be with you.
Thank you very much, Senator. You're listening to America on the Edge with CL Bryant. We'll be right back.
You're listening to America on the Edge with CL Bryant and Stephen Parr on News Radio 710 Keel.
It's a summer sizzler showcase. You could win a $5,000 gift card to any Louisiana Boardwalk store, including Bass Pro Shops. Presented by the Outlets at Louisiana Boardwalk. Look online to win at 710keel.com.
Hello, everybody. This is Henry Burns. God, faith, and freedom are not free. Many have paid the price. Let freedom ring. What a great radio program. Go get them, CL.
Doctors Thornton, Pugh, Ollier, and Watkins from the Ear, Nose, and Throat Center are excited to tell you about a new, made-for-iPhone hearing aid, Resound Links. Resound Links is the fully featured hearing aid designed to connect directly with iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch. Built with revolutionary technology to bring you a smarter, smaller, and more connected hearing experience. Call the Ear, Nose, and Throat Center at 888-408-6318 today to experience Resound Links. That's 888-408-6318 to schedule your appointment to learn all about Resound Links. Apple, iPad, iPhone, and iPod Touch are trademarks of Apple Incorporated, registered in the U.S. and other countries. Once again, call the Ear, Nose, and Throat Center at 888-408-6318 today to experience Resound Links.
Have you ever thought, I wish I didn't have to search for the best price on printing or direct mail. Tired of trying to design your own material on some confusing website just to get to the end and it's not that professional look your business needs? Well, stop searching and call Graphic Industries. We've been waiting on your business, ready to help you with your printing and direct mail needs. Graphic Industries offers all types of print, stationery, brochures, flyers, catalogs, door hangers, books, pocket folders, postcards, variable printed letters, and much, much more. Graphic Industries can direct mail for you, too. You can customize a mailing list, target a certain demographic, or just flood the market and get your name in the homes of thousands of potential clients. Lowest prices, best quality, and a faster turn time. Visit us online at graphicindustries.net. or call us today at 318-222-1100. Graphic Industries, the #1 choice of printing and direct mail.
Rush. He's in your face. He says what you might be thinking, and sometimes what makes you mad.
Fewer and fewer people actually have a moral core. They're not willing to stand up for their moral core. And you talk about the double standard, and one of the greatest illustrations of it is rappers can practically say anything they want about women, and it's called art.
Listen to Rush each weekday from 11 to 2 only on News Radio 710 Keel. This is America on the Edge with CL Bryant and Stephen Parr on News Radio 710 Keel.
Welcome back to America on the Edge with CL Bryant. I am Stephen Parr. If you'd like to advertise on the show, as you just heard a whole bunch of folks doing, you can send us an email at ad@americaontheedge.com, and we'll get you on and appreciate the support that you've given us. We also appreciate Senator David Vitter calling us just last block there. He was actually on traveling, CL. He was at the airport, so I think you heard
the background noise, folks. Just hopefully we can excuse that for us. But we thank him for being on just the same.
And appreciate him taking the time to give us a call. Now, he did say in that interview that he was going to vote for Cassidy. And that brings us to our question of the day.
Yeah.
Should Manus get out of the race, or should he continue to run? Right now, he's polling in the single digits. It varies a little bit, but it's pretty much been in the single digits.
And there are people who really believe that, he needs to stay in for principle's sake. And we want to hear from all of you. So if there anybody out there that wants to call in and talk about that, we will welcome your call, your differing opinion from that of Senator Vitter.
And our phone number is 320-KEEL, KEEL, 320-KEEL, and we have a caller on the line right now. Are you there?
I am.
Hi. So what's your answer to our question of the day? Should Manus stay in? Should Manus get out of the race?
I believe he should stay in. I believe that Colonel Manus can stimulate our state by being fresh and non-political. Think about it. Senator Mary Landrieu is running for her 4th term. What has she done that's been so magnificent to help our state? And Cassidy has been in for a while. We need someone fresh. We need new ideas. We need someone that is non-political. That person is Colonel Rob Manus. He's qualified, and I just think he would do a great job. I think we need to give him a chance. I understand that he's just passed the $1 million mark, and that was several weeks ago, so I'm sure he's raised more money since then. So he is a valid candidate, and I hope more people will consider him. I think that the state of Louisiana is fed up with the politicians, and it's time that we
caller,
look at
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. So you're saying that neither Landrieu or Cassidy have really done anything to improve our lot here in Louisiana. But I guess this would be the question that a lot of people are asking right now. When will Manus's campaign kick in as far as gaining any polling or popularity among the grassroots?
Well, he has continued to stay in the race, and he's gaining momentum. And just recently, Sarah Palin endorsed him. And so I see every day that he is becoming more and more a valid candidate.
At what point do you think, let's just say, okay, it's now the middle of October. He's still polling like he is. What happens? What happens? What do the supporters of Maness do then? What happens? Do you go for the good of the party? Do you go for the good of the country? What happens at that point? Because people are going to be asking, what's he going to do? Is he going to cost Landrieu? Is he going to cost Cassidy the race if he's still polling very well against Landrieu?
Okay, that's a good question, CL, and thank you for asking that. And I think Louisiana and America are ready for a change that is going to move us forward. Now, think about U.S. House Majority Leader Eric Cantor. He won, and I believe because he won and the people were fed up with the politicians, I believe that Colonel Rob Maness can do the same thing.
Hey, thanks for calling in. Really appreciate your opinion on this. And again, if other folks want to call in, you can call in at 320-KEEL. CL, real quick, I want to play this clip for you from Eric Holder talking to Pierre Thomas on ABC News, because some folks have been against Eric Holder, and there have been calls for his impeachment, and Holder thinks it may be because of the color of his skin. Listen to this.
You've talked about the fact that you and the president are sometimes treated differently. Those were your words. What did you mean by that?
Well, there's a certain level of vehemence, it seems to me, that's directed at me, directed at the president. People talk about taking their country back. I can't look into people's hearts, look into people's minds, but it seems to me that this president has been treated differently than others.
You know what, Stephen? When you're the Attorney General of the United States, when you're the President of the United States, and you're the first black Attorney General of the United States, first black President of the United States, there comes a point in time, especially after 5 years in office, when we're looking at your record. We're not looking at your color of your skin. I think it is time for us to understand that this is a game that Holder and the president have worn out. They need to put that board back in the game box, and let's move on from here, because there's jobs that have not been done that both of them are holding, and I'm sick of it.
Here's the thing to me. It seems to me that they think that taking our country back is code word for racism. It is not code word for racism. It is the Constitution has a meaning. And by the way, when you start attributing everybody else's behavior to racism, you stop listening to actual criticism that could help you.
The constructive kind.
That's right. We'll be back. More more America on the Edge after this.
Giving you the edge. This is America on the Edge with CL Bryant and Stephen Parr on News Radio 710 KEEL.
If you're tired of getting nickel and dime for your company's marketing needs, GI Marketing Group can help. We're a new, evolved marketing company with no monthly fees or markups and with quicker response times. With GI Marketing Group, there is no outsourcing. We own the production facilities, everything from print, mail, video, digital, and web design. We do it all in-house. Call us today at 318-222-1100 to start saving time and money, or visit us online at gimarketinggroup.com.
Doctors Thornton, Pugh, Ollier, and Watkins from the Ear, Nose, and Throat Center are excited to tell you about a new, made-for-iPhone hearing aid, Resound Links. Resound Links is the fully featured hearing aid designed to connect directly with iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch. Built with revolutionary technology to bring you a smarter, smaller, and more connected hearing experience. Call the Ear, Nose, and Throat Center at 888-408-6318 today to experience Resound Links. That's 888-408-6318 to schedule your appointment to learn all about Resound Links. Apple, iPad, iPhone, and iPod Touch are trademarks of Apple Incorporated, registered in the U.S. and other countries. Once again, call the Ear, Nose, and Throat Center at 888-408-6318 today to experience Resound Links.
If you're in need of a good plumber, perhaps you need work on your heater, or especially right now with cooling and refrigeration systems. If you need help, give the friendly folks at Premier a call at 222-1980.
Planning your next staycation? You don't have to go far to get away from it all. Just 30 minutes south of Shreveport, in the historic village of Grand Cane, stands the Cook Hill House Bed and Breakfast. This stately treasure was built in the mid-1800s before the Civil War. The Cook Hill House is also the perfect place for weddings, receptions, parties, and showers. Call the Cook Hill House Bed and Breakfast at 318-858-0800. 318-858-0800. Cook Hill House Bed and Breakfast. Victorian elegance with country charm.
Luxury without limits at Jaguar of Shreveport. Online at jaguarofshreveport.net.
The declining Sparta aquifer is our main water source in North Louisiana. We continue to use 25 million gallons a day more than our Sparta can sustain. Every year the water level continues to drop and the water quality continues to erode. Please do your part and conserve our precious water resource. Conserving water doesn't require a major change in lifestyle. It just takes a little common sense. Be Sparta smart. Make every drop count. This public service announcement is brought to you by this radio station, a member of the Sparta Media Network.
Weather changes quickly here. Get the information you need 24/7. Together with our news and weather partner Fox 33, we provide the most accurate and up-to-date weather reports. News Radio 710 Keel. This is America on the Edge with CL Bryant and Stephen Parr on News Radio 710 Keel.
Welcome back to America on the Edge with CL Bryant. I am Stephen Parr. Remember, you can join our conversation. It continues after the show on Facebook.com/America on the Edge or on Twitter @The American Edge. CL, our question folks have been answering today, should Manus get out of the race or should he keep running? I think I know your answer on this one, but I'd like to hear it myself.
You know, it comes a point, I do believe, where the numbers are going to have to tell the tale. If we're going to beat Landrieu, if we're truly wanting to beat Landrieu, we're going to have to elect the best candidate running against her and then make certain that we hold that candidate's feet to the fire. At present, that candidate is Cassidy. And if it means costing us or meaning Landrieu staying in office, I'm ready to do whatever necessary to get her out. That's my answer.
And again, the poll that came out last week, Landrieu had 46%, Cassidy had 43%, other was down at 5%, and then don't know was at 6%. That 11%, that 5% plus the 6%, that 11% is the difference between Cassidy winning and Landrieu winning.
If she wins by 3 points, somebody cost the opponent the race. You know, folks, it is always good to be with you here, America on the Edge. We want to always be a show that builds bridges and stimulates conversation. Stephen and I are very proud to have this opportunity to be with you here in the Architects, where we are starting a brand new conversation in America, a fresh voice, a fresh conservative voice for America. Hopefully we not only stimulate conversation, but we encourage answers to the problems of the day. And above all, we want to say to each and every one of you out there that we want to be certain to thank our finest, our brightest young men, young women, who defend our right to speak our minds here on the radio. You know who they are. They come from your communities. They come from our neighborhoods. They are the American soldier. God bless you. God bless them. God bless America. We'll see you in 23 hours. This is CL Bryant, America on the Edge, along with my co-host, Stephen Parr.
Shattered lives, wave of rain.
Your station for news, weather,